876 stream. Bless up.
Pandemic, Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Real Madrid, even Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona, and now Karim Benzema, the Ballon d'Or winner. But for the next 29 days, we get into a football carnival in a place where many never even expected football to be played, and that is Qatar. Welcome to Streaming Qatar. Yes, that is right. Now streaming Qatar. Thank you so much to everyone that is tuned in. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are across this globe. Thank you so much for tuning in to 876 Stream JA's YouTube channel. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, hit that like button and also subscribe as well for all the latest content as well throughout the course of the tournament that we have ahead of us. As well, don't forget our socials as well. On Instagram, it's 876 Stream, and also on Twitter, Stream 876. And of course, right here on YouTube, 876 Stream JA. And use the hashtag as well, full-time stream. We have quite a bit of content to get into ahead of kickoff at 11 o'clock. But before we do that, let us introduce our analysts for this morning. To my immediate right, we have Kadish Fishley, who is a football coach as well as a football analyst. And to my far right as well, Stefan Hausen as well. Lady and gentlemen, good morning to you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me, man. Pleasure to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you both. Firstly, let's start with you, Kadish, in terms of the excitement for the World Cup and everything of that nature. Looking forward to the month ahead?
I would say it's not as much as previous years, but I am looking forward to it. It is billed as the greatest show on earth, and it really is. It's one of the most watched. The final is one of the most watched sporting events. So I am looking forward to it.
And Stefan, same for you?
Well, you both have known me for a number of years, and some would call me a bit of a cynic when it comes to football, but I don't know if it's just because it's day one, but I'm actually very excited to be here, very excited for the month ahead. It's a new World Cup, new time zone, everything, so I'm super excited at the moment.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, and you can see my excitement as well. It's really, really an amazing moment to look forward to. Stefan, let me start with you on this one. Your first World Cup memory. Can you date us back to that moment in particular? Was it a fond memory of yours as well?
You said date as if I'm the oldest person here. Actually, no. My first World Cup memory goes back probably. Wouldn't even be at the World Cup, 97. I remember when we qualified for that World Cup, Jamaica. I remember not understanding, but also understanding at the same time that this was a big deal. But a specific moment, early memory when I think of World Cup, I remember being in my classroom at Mona Prep when we brought out the big back TV to watch Japan versus Jamaica. And we got that win in the classroom and we celebrated as if we were there ourselves. So that's my earliest memory of a World Cup.
A fond memory indeed. Kadish, how about for you?
Well, for a Jamaican, that should be my fondest memory as well. but I didn't really get into football until I was about 12 or so. And so my fondest memory, even though it's not really a positive one, it's definitely Zidane's headbutt against Materazzi.
Wow.
And I mean, it's the first one that comes to my mind when you think about previous World Cups. So that is the fondest memory I have of a World Cup.
I'll tell you guys a brief story. So 2006, England played Portugal in the quarterfinals. It went to penalties, of course.
For sure.
And on that same day, the government decided to hand out GSAT results the same day.
Oh, wow.
And England got eliminated.
Yeah.
And I didn't get through to Campion, so
Okay.
that,
That was a bad day for you.
it really had that double whammy effect. But certainly an exciting tournament ahead. So what we're going to do at this point in time is look at what lies ahead for us in Group A. So for Group A within the World Cup, there is the host nation, Qatar, Ecuador. We also have the Netherlands and Senegal. Before we actually look at this group in particular, Kadish, let me start with you. A World Cup that we have right now within the Middle East, many persons are a bit perturbed, a bit miffed about it in that part of the world. Your thoughts, your feelings about a World Cup in this part of the world?
Well, I think we were speaking about it earlier, and Stefan actually said that it should never have happened. And I agree with Stefan. I don't think it should have happened. And with all the controversies surrounding the World Cup, I mean, FIFA could have done a better job. They try to be the moral police when it comes to certain things, and then when it comes to other things, they can be seen as a bit hypocritical. So yeah, it's the location of it is not one that I'm fond of.
Stefan, similar thoughts?
Yeah, similar thoughts. We've heard the human rights issues going on years now. It's ramped up in recent times because the World Cup is now starting. But it's difficult to think about what has happened off the field. But we are here now. The games will be played. And I guess that's where we have to focus for right now as analysts. I'm not a politician, I'm not a government person, so I can't go into too much of that stuff. But when it comes to the football, I'm excited.
Yes, and in relation to that football as well, Stefan, you've seen what host nations and how they've done in previous tournaments. South Africa is the only team that has failed to advance from the group stage of a tournament. Yeah. Is it any coincidence or surprise that, on the opening day you have that, moral momentum for that home team to go on and get a result?
Yeah, I think, you look back, home team advantage has always played a factor in most sporting aspects. It didn't benefit South Africa last time, but that just has to be a result of them not being a strong team, Would it be similar for Qatar? Maybe, maybe not. It's different because Qatar, the location of the World Cup itself, the temperature, it's going to be something for them to adapt to. Maybe it'll play in their favor. This is a team that is 100% homegrown. All of their players are used to this temperature. All of their players are acclimatized to it. So maybe it will actually be a benefit to them.
All right, and before we get into Kadish's point of view, let's look at some tidbits on the Qatari team and also about Qatar football in general, and then we'll be able to go a little bit more into the meat of the matter of the tournament itself and a little bit further on as it relates to the big match coming up at 11 a.m. That is Qatar against Ecuador, and that comes away at 11 a.m. And of course, we'll give you all the latest updates as it relates to that, the tournament. So on your screen quite shortly, there we go, Qatar facts. This Qatari team, the 80th team that will play in World Cup history, and they're the only debutants that we have at this World Cup. And Kadish, you could say a bit of reputation, we saw them at the Gold Cup, where we had the Reggae Boys in the tournament, and Qatar slowly but surely building their reputation in a footballing sense.
Yes, they are. Reading up on what Qatar has done is that they've really developed their national team, especially meaning the bid to host this World Cup. So they've built up their players. I don't think they'll be the strongest team in that group, but we should be getting some exciting matches from them. I think they will do their very best, and it will prove to be an exciting game to watch from time to time.
Yes, indeed. If you look at the Qatari team as well, 10 of the 26 players part of their roster were actually born outside of Qatar. Just the likes of Morocco, Senegal and Tunisia have more players born outside of that country. Stefan, how much has that helped to bring players from the African continent and also Europe as well to inject into the squad?
Well, if you're familiar with what Qatar have done over the last 2 decades, they have essentially gone around and approached international football like club football. They've gone in, they have the Aspire Academy that they started where they were bringing over young talent from Africa, from Brazil, all those types of places, and naturalizing them. FIFA kind of put a halt to their efforts because we might have seen a team full of 11 Brazilians if they didn't. But they've definitely put in a lot of work into building the program from grassroots straight up. We've seen the benefits over it. You mentioned they went to the Gold Cup. They were at the Copa America before that. They didn't embarrass themselves there. Whenever they've gone to tournaments, even if they haven't progressed far, they've never embarrassed themselves. So they have a strong unit, defensively solid for the most part. So we'll see if they can spring some upsets moving forward.
Yes, indeed, this Qatar team ranked 50th in the world, and quite a compelling story that they have coming into this tournament as well. Earlier, Stefan was making the point about the host nations and, their record in the opening game of the World Cup. If you go back in World Cup history, in terms of that opening fixture, 16 victories for that host nation in that opening game and 6 draws. Russia, they won their opening game 2018 against Saudi Arabia 5-0. The Brazilians, they defeated Croatia back in 2014, 3-1. South Africa, they drew 1-1 against Mexico. Germany back in 2006, they defeated Costa Rica by 4-2. Go back to 2002, Japan and Belgium, that drew 2-2, and South Korea 2-0 over Poland. So in terms of host nations in their first game, we've seen that sort of impact. But slightly on a tangent though as well, Kadish, as it relates to the general tournament as a whole. As you know, there will be some faces that we were looking forward to see, but unfortunately we don't see. You know, from your thoughts and perspective as it relates to the French side and the Senegalese side of things, disappointment on your end not to see some of these stars, Benzema?
It's disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing when Benzema was out of the France team because of various reasons. And I was really looking forward to seeing him again. You know, as a Real Madrid fan, he's one of my favorites to watch, and he's not going to be there. And then Sadio Mane, who is just compelling to watch at times. He can be a bit selfish, but at the end of the day, he's Senegal's best player, and he's not going to be there. There's so many more who should be there who is not there because of injury and whatnot. I can think of Reece James, for example, who would have been a definite player for England. So it's going to be disappointing without those players, but I think we still have enough quality to make this an exciting World Cup.
Stefan, for you, missing Benzema, how much of a loss is that for the French and Mane for the Senegalese?
Well, you know, they call it the greatest show on the planet, so we always want the greatest players there. So it's a big shame that we won't have a full component of the best available players. It's a big miss for Senegal for sure. That's their talisman, that's their big player. He would have been vital to their chances of progressing and becoming that first African team to actually advance past the quarterfinal stage, I believe it is.
Yeah.
It would have been great to have him there. Benzema, of course, you know, as Kadesh mentioned, he was out of the France team for a long while for off the field reasons. Brought him back. Didn't have the best Euros on a whole for France. Individually, he was good. It would have been nice to see him as the reigning Ballon d'Or winner. I think it's the first time in history the reigning Ballon d'Or winner is not going to be at the World Cup. So that's a big miss, and it kind of just falls upon the fact that France are missing a large component of key players as well. So that really swings the balance for them as tournament winners. It opens up the space for other potential winners as well. So it's a shame, but the show must go on. And the greatest show must still go on, and maybe we'll see some players come up and fill those ranks and become the next greatest.
Kadish, the Italians, the Spanish and the Germans, after they won the World Cup, the next World Cup, they're eliminated in the group stage. Do we have to worry about that with the French, or they should be okay?
I think they should be okay. One of the things with those teams is that there was a lack of progression in terms of style of play, or there was no transition from a certain group of players to another group of players. I think with injuries to Pogba and Kante, that it may have helped the French side a bit, where you have new blood coming in to help bolster the attack, and then to transition from those stars to these new future stars coming up. I think it may have helped them. I don't think that they will not progress from the group. I would be very surprised if France does not progress from the group stage.
Yeah, just before we bring in Stefan and his point of view, just want to say a special good morning and good afternoon to Tiffany Cameron, Reggae Girl Strike, who's hopped in on the comments. She says, Mane is a baller. He's one of my favourite players. It's unfortunate that he won't be there. Thank you very much, Tiffany. She now has 17 goal contributions over in Hungary in 11 appearances. A player that is on form and doing absolutely brilliant things. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And certainly one to look out for as the Reggae Girls prepare for the World Cup next year. So, Stefan, same question for you as well, you know, as it relates to, you know, the manner and the players and also the expectations as well. Yeah.
You know, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with France because I do like what they do for the most part, but then I hate what the fans expect them to do. They always ask them to be something that they're not. The French team, they've been defensively strong for a long time. They're solid, their system works, and they get results. We see people putting these expectations and then play this way, play that way. They tried it in the Euros and it failed. It really hurt them. I think what we would have seen going into this World Cup would be a return to the philosophies that had them successful, but now with the injuries throwing a wrench into the plan, who knows? We're going to see some young blood thrown in. That might change the dynamic. It might be a positive, it might be a negative. We can only wait and see.
Yeah. That's something for us to really bear in mind. And with all the upsets, the change-ins, a lot of things could happen. Stefan, let me start with you on this one as it relates to the tournament as a whole. It's a November tournament.
Yeah.
It's nothing like we've ever seen before. And in relation to all of those factors that you have in mind, when you bear in mind that November, when you watch club football, it's normally players are trying to get into second gear or get into the hone of things. Do you think that this might actually be a World Cup where we see players untired, not really lagging from any niggling injuries?
It's going to be super interesting, simply because of the timing of the tournament. Kadesh, as a coach, will know when you go into pre-season, depending on how you approach it, you're timing your peak to fall maybe in the middle of the season, maybe towards the end. There's always some justification of how you want it to go out. This is the first time we're actually going to a tournament where it's not at the end of the summer, where players are coming off a long, grueling season. They've been kicked for 50 games. They're in the middle of it. They're in the pump. I wouldn't even say they're in the middle. They're in about 3/4 in. They're just about to get into the peak of their fitness, most players. So that's going to be interesting, actually going into a World Cup where the majority of the teams are top shape, apart from the injuries, of course. But in regards to just general fitness, this is the most competitive it's ever been.
Kadish, your thoughts as well?
I agree. It's in that, like, at the end of the season, there are a lot of players that they will suffer from fatigue. They need that rest. And now we're in the middle of the season where you're getting up to fitness. Some teams are just hitting their stride. You can see in the different leagues. So I think this World Cup is going to be very competitive. I don't want to say we shouldn't be seeing a lot of injuries because you never know what might happen, but it's definitely going to be competitive, and we're going to see it's going to be more energetic than previous World Cups, I think.
Well, I mean, you're a coach, and these coaches are preparing their teams for like 7 games in the space of 4 weeks. Sometimes you're going to play 3 games in 7 days, 8 days, thereabouts. As a coach, what would your approach be to ensure you manage the talent so well that there's no burnout by quarterfinals?
Well, I think that is one of the reasons why FIFA has expanded the number of the squads. So it's from 23 to 26, right? So it's going to be about squad rotation and how you manage that. It's 5 subs this World Cup as well.
Yep, so we have more subs as well.
It's more substitutes as well. So you don't have so many players playing for so long. So it's about managing your rest, managing the rotation of the squad, and I think that's the focus for the coaches. Manage how do we rotate the squad so that everybody is at a level where we can compete up to the finals.
And folks, that's a big reason why Kadish Fischl is so successful as a coach as well, winning the title in August. Congratulations again. How was that that season for you in terms of winning and getting over the line?
It was a league and a cup, and we lost the league by 1 point, and I will forever live on the fact that I lost the league by 1 point, because we were very dominant throughout the course of the league. And so when it came to the cup, it was again about managing expectations and rotating the squad and figuring out how these teams play. A lot of the times, players think they know everything and they want to play a certain way. And in the finals specifically, KFA had us on the ropes, and I had to stop them and say, listen, let's expand the game, bring them out wide, and it proved successful, and we ended up winning. So it was a good tournament. It was very good for the girls program, because it was U20 women, and I'm hoping we have an under-17 program competition coming up again in December, so I'm looking forward to winning that one as well.
Exciting times ahead. And Stefan, you've had your fair share of coaching experiences as well. How much have you enjoyed the experiences that you've had both locally and also in North America as well?
Yeah, for sure. Going back a couple of years, I started off, Kadish and I actually did our coaching licenses together, and we graduated together. I went to Mona Prep, I coached goalkeepers there. I helped out at camp and with their goalkeepers as well. It was interesting. I'm a big proponent of youth football. I love that aspect of it. I like to see players develop. I like to see them grow. It was a great experience in Jamaica. I went abroad. I ended up at Toronto FC. I wasn't on the field as much as I would have liked to be. I was more on the operations side, working with the first team. But I did have the opportunity to, shadow some of the coaches, pick up things, and just see how a top-class institution handled youth development. It was a great thing to bring back, and I'm looking to get back into coaching now. So hopefully me and Kadesh will be going next on the sideline soon.
Agreed. And some of the folks that you worked with as well, Stefan, some of them will be at this World Cup coming up as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely do have some friends on the Canadian national team. Big up Liam Fraser in particular. He was a great friend to me when I was at Toronto FC. I saw him release a video the other day of his call up when he got the call. He was in tears. I had to show him some love, and he reciprocated it as well. So big up to Canada. You know, that's my second country. Jamaica didn't qualify, so I have to back Canada for this tournament going forward. So Liam Fraser, Osorio, there's a few of them that I interacted with over there. So looking forward to seeing Canada do some things.
All right, exciting times we have ahead. We're going to talk about the groups quite shortly, and our technical team will ensure that we have the groups on the screen so we can break down specifically with Kadish and with Stefan as well the different groups, Group A to Group H. As we know, this is the last World Cup that we'll have with 32 teams. It will expand to 48 teams for the next World Cup. So quite shortly we'll see the different groups and hear from our analysts as well their thoughts about the top two, who could make progress towards the round of 16 of the competition. Of course, we will focus on Group A a little bit more in depth than the other groups, but certainly we will ensure that we have that for you quite shortly. So, but we'll definitely start with Group A in the time period. Of course, that is the Qatar team, the Ecuadorians, the Senegalese, and also the Dutch team with Louis van Gaal's Dutch team. So firstly, Kadish, when the groups were made, we saw a lot of similarities compared to previous World Cups, but when you saw Group A, did you see clear-cut top two, or one team or two teams could spring a surprise here?
Clear-cut top two. Netherlands, Senegal.
Simply put.
No,
Wow.
I mean, I don't expect. Cause I don't like to say I don't expect, because football is one of the most cruelest sport there is. Because
we know that.
I mean, but from a perspective of watching these national teams and knowing the players that they have available, it should very simply be Netherlands top, Senegal second. And I don't like to like say who's going to come first, who's going to come second, but Netherlands top, Senegal second.
Interesting. Stefan, you have the same view?
I don't actually. I don't.
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't know if it's because the World Cup started today, and I'm being a little bit more excited. But it looks tight to me. Maybe I'm playing into the fact that Mane is out as well. And in all honesty, I've never been the biggest fan of the Senegalese team. I think Mane really carries them, and without him, it's going to be interesting to see how they cope. The Netherlands should top this group, though, for sure. They have the best component of players, but I do have a sneaky feeling that Ecuador and Qatar have the capabilities to cause upsets. Ecuador is one of the youngest teams in this tournament. They have some exciting young players. A couple like Brian I can't pronounce his name. I think Espetunu, and Caicedo. So they do have some exciting talent.
Yeah.
And Qatar, they look defensively strong. As I've said, they've gone to a few tournaments now, and they've never embarrassed themselves. They've caused some upsets. So right now, I would say the Netherlands is clear, but the second spot is up for anybody.
And a little bit about Louis van Gaal. He came back into the job after the Euros, has gone on unbeaten. Some say the tactics that he's using is quite 1980s, 1970s, but it's effective, isn't it, Stefan, in some aspect?
I mean, if you're a Dutch football purist like myself, you would hate the football that Louis van Gaal has played for Holland, but he's been effective. He went far in the 2014 World Cup. Van Marwijk previously also got them far to 2010, playing a similar brand of football. Johan Cruyff was very critical of the type of football that Holland has now evolved to play, but it works for them. I think this batch has a little bit more of those little technical aspects that we want from a Dutch team, so they'll be able to mix and mash it up. So they're an interesting one to watch.
A contender for you, Kadish, the Dutch, for the trophy?
No, I don't think they are. They'll go far. They'll probably make it to the quarterfinals, I think, but I don't think they're not one of the top 4 teams to go that far, in my opinion.
Okay. And we'll definitely have the other groups for you quite shortly, but we'll still continue on Group A and the other teams that are in it. We spoke a bit about Ecuador as well, Stefan, about what they've had. Ecuador, they actually came third at the Under-20 World Cup not too long ago, and they've kept that same sort of young core. Yeah. Is it, from a coaching perspective, giving opportunities to youngsters? It's not something that you often see in this day and age.
Not, especially not in international football. It's very rare that you see a young national full team going far. And Ecuador stuck to that. As you said, they had success at the under-20 level, and the core of that team has matriculated. They've gone on to do well. They've gotten to the World Cup. And as I said, they have an exciting young group of talent. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of them picked up after this World Cup. So yeah, one to watch for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you have 3 players at Brighton now. Brighton seems to love these Ecuadorians popping up.
Brighton's scouting network, they clearly have someone who lives in Ecuador who is just calling the phone every week. Hey, we found another one. But there's definitely talent down there, and Brighton's picked them up, and it's been to the benefit of Brighton, and it's been to the benefit of the Ecuador national team.
Yeah. So as you can see on your screen, we do have some tidbits on the Ecuadorian team. This is their 4th World Cup appearance. The best was the round of 16 that they had in 2006. Of course, England winning that. David Beckham free kick doing the job there. They were quarterfinalists at the last Copa America in 2021, and something compelling coming into this World Cup. They're 7 games unbeaten, and 6 of those 7 were clean sheets. But something not on their side. They've only scored 2 goals in their last 6 games. So. Let's see.
Can I change my answer now?
Really?
I might be agreeing with Stefan on this one. Ecuador might cause some problems.
I didn't say that. I said it's up for grabs.
It's up for grabs. But I didn't know some of those facts, and after hearing both of you speak on, what they've done, I do think they can still cause problems. I'm still sticking with my top 2 though. I'm still sticking with my top 2.
So no chance for the host nation?
No,
I don't think Qatar would. I don't think Qatar would cause any disruption.
It's
weird.
weird.
It's going to be between Netherlands, Senegal, Ecuador.
Yeah, it's weird because in Qatar and Ecuador you have 2 teams who are, let's just say their strength is their defensive aspect. They're not really known for their goal scoring prowess. Yeah. But when you factor in Senegal is missing their most important attacking aspect as well, how will that factor in? Does that mean Senegal will now have an issue scoring goals? We'll see soon. But it's up for grabs for me.
Yeah, and then you both would know as coaches as well as we get set to talk about other groups that are coming up. Stefan, I'll start with you on this one as it relates to those different capabilities. Qatar brought in this Aspire Academy, and we know what Spanish football is like with the pass. But at the end of the day, you may have a plan, but you need the players who can play that style.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, Qatar's national team manager is a Barcelona coach. He used to be there, so he grew up in the system. But he's made it very clear, they're going there to be defensively solid and have quick transitions and move forward and try and capitalize. That's what they've been doing for the last couple of years. It's been successful. As I said, they've never been embarrassed in any of these tournaments they've gone to. So it's all about the game plan and sticking to it. And if they can pull it off, credit to them.
And Kadish, from a coaching perspective, when you want to play a certain way, but you might not have the player as yet to get the job done, is it about defense first approach, or you go out there and express yourself?
It's about defense first for me. I can't lose if the other team doesn't score. So it's about defense first. So being defensively solid is a good foundation. I know a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of football fans are against the defense first approach. Nah. Ugly win.
We're Brazilian at heart.
An ugly win is a win at the end of the day. You still get 3 points or you still win the trophy. So defense first, and then we build from that and see what we can do going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting when you drive around corporate Jamaica right now and you see the flags around people's cars. You wonder where you are. Are you in Kingston or are you in Rio de Janeiro?
I saw a fully wrapped Brazil car on the weekend with 2022 World Cup champion on it. So that is a fan.
I saw a large flag on the back of a van.
A Brazilian one?
Brazilian one, going to Mandeville. It's just there. I was like, you seen all these small flags around? No. I didn't expect to see such a large one.
Rio de Jamaica.
And on that note, we're going to take a look at Group B action and what lies in store for us. So, Group B action, that is what we have in store for you all right now. And just a reminder to all watching as well on YouTube. Do send in your comments as well. Give us your feedback as well. We do want to hear from you as well. Bang in the comments. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Just want to read a couple of comments as well. We have Coach Karumi Huey, as we know, has done some great work with Med Forest and also Malines United back in the day. Big up Coach Karumi Huey in the comments, says Holland to the world, come on my side. And Rashid Hall all the way in Switzerland, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Prime Minister's Youth Award winner back in 2012 in the category of leadership. Andrew Johnson also tuning in, a Jamaica national esports captain as well. Thank you guys for tuning in, and please continue to bang in your comments as well, and we'll be ready to share it as well. Eddie Guna as well from Sports Down the Middle, also making his voice heard as well, says a big up to the panel as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, and also as well subscribe to 876 Stream Jamaica right here on YouTube, and also to the other social media platforms. On Instagram it's 876 Stream, and also on Twitter it is Stream 876. So those are the other ways to keep up to date with everything in relation to the World Cup and hear more from our analysts as well. Previews, reviews, analysis, and further updates from the greatest show on earth. So let's head into action now with Group B and what lies ahead. And for many reasons, a group that I'm excited and looking forward to as a Three Lions fan. And it is the 1966 winners, England, the United States, 1930 World Cup semi-finalists, Iran, and also Wales, who are making their first World Cup appearance in 64 years. I've asked many people about this group as well, Kadish and Stefan. I'll start with Kadish on this one. When the draw was made, a lot of persons in many circles simply said England-Wales. That was the first view on a lot of people. And then here comes the United States coming in with youthful exuberance, panache, and some players doing quite well domestically in Europe. From a CONCACAF perspective, is it about ensuring that our boys, the US, the Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, are you wishing them well, or it's all about let's be real and let's see England and Wales? For you, your thoughts first, because as we know, we're building towards 2026, and who knows the number of spots that could lie ahead for future tournaments. Right. Yeah.
At heart, I'm a USA hater.
Really?
I am.
Not on the women's side, though.
On the women's side as well. On the women's side as well. For this group, for me, it was England, Wales as well. It pains me to say England because I think they've made some questionable decisions.
Really?
In their squad. I don't need to. Let's not get into that just yet.
Yes.
And
we have the time.
So, but they should go through. I think Wales is the dark horse. It's very hard for me to say yes Wales because you don't know what Wales team you're getting. Are you going to get you don't know what Bale you're getting? Are we going to get the Gareth Bale that will drag Wales tooth and nail to the finish line, or are we going to get the Bale that is just there? Yeah. And I don't see Iran really doing much to England and then the USA now, it depends again on which Pulisic we get. I'm also a Chelsea fan.
Right.
He's one of the most frustrating players to watch. He doesn't have an end product most of the times.
No.
He takes 10 shots to score 1 goal. That's not very effective in my opinion. And he's the main player. He's the main striker for the USA. So again, it depends on which Pulisic we get. So if Bale and Pulisic shows up to this World Cup, if the Bale that we know and the Pulisic that everyone thinks is Pulisic, then we should have a hard time figuring out who is finishing behind England. Yeah,
you touched on England in terms of the squad selection. Is there a player that they left out that perhaps you wanted in?
Oh yes, Tamori. Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire. I am not a Manchester United fan. I am a Manchester United hater. But
so much hate going on the panel. So much hate on the panel today.
So much hate.
But he has not been. He's the club captain, and he has not been playing. Number one, when he does play, he doesn't play very well most of the times. How is he your starting centre back when you have a Tomorino who was instrumental in AC Milan winning their title last year and has been very good this season? He's had a few bad games, yes, but he's still one of the best players, one of the best defensive players for AC Milan. How is he not with you in Qatar?
Stefan, your expectations of England, because it's the recent Nations League games kind of made things quite lukewarm. You know, with the media in England, you know, it's coming home slogan. It's not like as it was for the Euros or the previous World Cup. With the recent results to Hungary and the Italians and the Germans, the expectations among many pundits there is if we get to quarterfinals, we did all right.
Yeah. What's that Batman quote about living too long, you become the villain, or something like that? I think that's what's happened to Gareth Southgate, and I think, honestly, it's a bit unfair. I think Gareth Southgate has managed this England team quite well. I think the expectations people place on them moving forward are a bit too high. At the end of the day, he lost a Euros on a penalty shootout. That's a lottery. That really is a lottery. You would expect those guys to score. Those guys who missed to score, and they didn't. At the end of the day, I think he picked a pretty sensible squad. I have no real irks with any omissions. Kadesh, I think she might be thinking from a Chelsea perspective as well, because tomorrow is a for Chelsea guy.
Right.
But for me, I'm not really. I don't see anything to complain about if you're an England fan in regards to squad selection. Yeah, everybody wants their favorite player there, but it's understandable why, for example, Maguire would go over Tomori. Maguire has been stellar in every tournament he's played for Gareth
For
Southgate.
England, in an England shirt is a different.
He's been stellar in every tournament. He's a rock for that system that they're going to play. Tomori's not used to that system. He's not playing that system. He's not doing anything in AC Milan that would necessarily put him above anybody else for me. So what are we really complaining about? Do we expect England to win? Actually, I think they have a good chance. I'm gonna go against the grain. I actually think they have a very good chance, especially based on the bracket. They're supposed to play France.
Yes.
Depending on if everything goes the way it should go,
Right.
i.e. they both win their groups, there should be a France-England matchup.
Yes.
I pick England right now over them. France are missing too much. I know I threw you for a loop there because you expected me to side with Kalish and go against the English team. I think they're a very sensibly picked squad. I think they're going to go in with a system that makes sense for them. It's a tournament-ready system that has shown success for them over the past couple tournaments. Why not?
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
And someone in the comments, Andrew Johnson has said Tony should have been picked. Stefan, you know, your thoughts about that number 9 after Kane? It's Callum Wilson, but Tony has been a little bit more informed. But you can understand the recent allegations, charges that he has to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, the English FA said that the allegations had nothing to do with the squad non-selection. I'm going to choose to believe them. Put it this way, for me, England winning the World Cup is not dependent on if Ivan Toney or Callum Wilson comes off the bench. I can see good arguments on why you would bring an Ivan Toney. He's a variant to what they will go with. But Callum Wilson is also a variant to what they will go with. Is Callum Wilson so much worse than Toney? Or is Toney so much better? No. At the end of the day, you have 23 outfield players to pick.
Right.
You have to pick 3 goalkeepers. You're going to leave somebody out. And you know what? When it comes to fans, there's nobody better in the world than a person that's not selected for the squad. So that's the truth of it. Right now, Ivan Toney is the guy, he should have been there. Sure, okay, there's an argument, but Callum Wilson is no slouch. It's not going to be a bad player to come off the bench if needed, for example. But as I said, it's not going to come down to who is the third choice striker that you brought to the World Cup. That's not the guy who's winning you the World Cup.
True.
Yeah.
Well said. Well, that basically wraps up Group B. We're going to look at Group C quite shortly, and it's another compelling group when you bear in mind you have quite a mixed group, a CONMEBOL team, a CONCACAF team, a European team, and also a team from Asia as well. So that will be from the Group B angle of things. But, you know, your thoughts. Are we agreeing England-Wales, England-USA?
We didn't touch on that.
Yeah. I'm going England-USA.
I'm going England-Wales only because, as I said, people criticize Gareth Southgate's handling of the England team. I think it's a bit unfair. People criticize Greg Berhalter's handling of the USA team, and I think that's 100% fair because he's doing a terrible job. Because they have some good players, and they're not on track to do anything positive. So I'm going to go England-Wales.
England-Wales. Okay.
That's 2-1. England-Wales.
2-1. All right, no problem. Let's go on to Group C now, where we have a team that is 35 games unbeaten. of the tournament itself, Argentina on great form. That Mexico-Poland game could very much determine the group that advances.
And I agree. I think we will all agree that Argentina is winning this group, but that second place is going to come down to what happens in the opening game, Mexico versus Poland, and it could go either way, in my opinion. Sometimes Mexico in World Cups is always fun to watch. Of course, we're going to talk about Ochoa, who just appears out of nowhere when it's World Cup time. So, but it will be fun to see Lewandowski against him, and to see what the Polish can do. And if they should win this game, then we can safely say that it's going to be Mexico-Poland. But if Mexico wins, not Mexico-Poland, sorry, Argentina-Poland. And if Mexico wins, then Argentina-Mexico.
Indeed, and just an interesting point on Ochoa. This is his 5th World Cup alongside the likes of Guardado of Mexico as well, Andres Guardado, and also Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. So they're joining a very esteemed club with the likes of Rafael Marquez and also Antonio Carvajal and Lothar Matthäus. This is a special group of players that have been to 5 World Cups. Sergio Ramos could have been there, but he wasn't picked. And he's only been to 4 World Cups, and unlikely for 2026 that he'll be there. But, Stefan, the round of 16 is like a curse for the Mexicans.
Yeah, going into this tournament, Mexico are not coming in strongly, but for some reason they always seem to turn it on at the World Cup. As Kadesh said, they're always a fun team to watch at the World Cup. They always bring a surprise. They have that system of play. It's very attractive, very gung-ho attacking formations usually, and I think they'll bring that in. I do have them doing what they usually do, getting through the second round and getting knocked out to the quarterfinals. It would be great I'm not a hater. I like to see my CONCACAF teams do well. So it would be great to see somebody break the barrier. And if I had to pick between USA and Mexico, I would say despite USA having better talent, I think Mexico just have the system and the history of doing it. So I would love to see them break through. But it's probably going to be a pretty straightforward group. I think everyone, as Kadesh said, has Argentina winning this group. Scaloni has done impeccable things since he's been in charge. Finally got the international tournament win for Messi, the Copa, so they're coming in from a strong standing. So yeah, Mexico and Argentina, they should wrap this up fairly easily.
You said it was impeccable, and the form that the Argentina's had. Is there any concerns at all from an Argentine perspective? Because things have gone so well since that Copa, since the semi-final loss to Brazil in 2019. They've just been on a roll since then.
I think the main concern for them would come down to injuries. They have missed a few. They've lost a few players. Nico Gonzalez is out, and they brought in Angel Correa to replace him. Not the biggest fan of him. That weakens their attack, and there are some doubts about Romero at centre back. If he's not 100%, that severely weakens their team overall. Outside of that, it's an aging team. Messi's not young. Di Maria is not young. They have some players that. Let's for the lack of a better phrasing, they're not top players, but they have a system that works for them. They have a unit that has come together, and in tournament football, systems usually trump quality. So if they can hold it together, keep their best players on the field, perform, then maybe they can spring an upset.
Kadish, are they a contender for this tournament to win it?
I think they're one of my top 4 teams. Pains me to say, but they're one of my top 4 teams to go on and win it. I don't have an out-and-out winner. I've learned over the past few years that things never go the way you expect them to do in football. So I have 4 teams that I expect to win, and Argentina is one of them.
Okay, Argentina is one, Brazil is another.
Argentina, France, Germany, and yes,
okay.
Brazil.
2 South American, 2 European.
Yeah.
All right, I think the consensus here is that it's Argentina and Mexico, but we'll get sorted for Group D quite shortly. We'll bring you those graphics in just a moment. Mexico and Argentina, so much history between each other, going back to previous World Cups, round of 16 exits in previous tournaments. So another intriguing battle on our hands with this fixture in particular. Saudi Arabia, their last appearance at a round of 16 at a World Cup, 1994, all the way back in the United States. Tough ask for them, but let's get started now with Group D action. So it's Group D now, and a compelling case with the defending champions, France, European semi-finalists, Denmark, Australia, round of 16 appearance in 2006, and Tunisia, a team that gave England and Panama and even Belgium difficulties in 2018 as well. That's what Group D looks like. France, they took on Australia back in the last World Cup and even took on Denmark as well. The only change you could see this group is from the 2018 tournament was Peru was in this group, and you would have the exact same group like what I had 4 years ago. But here we are again. Stefan, Denmark has had France's ticket this year, haven't they? 2 wins.
Yeah, 2 wins. You know, they're fairly similar in how they approach the game. Defensively solid, quick transitions, technical players that can exploit space when they get it. So it's been a good contest between the two of them. And France for most of this season have been trying to tinker with things, trying to add a different variation to their playing style, and it didn't work for them in those 2 games. But Deschamps has made it clear he's going back to a back 4. He's going to go back to what he's known for. So it's going to be interesting. But the injuries to France, it throws a wrench in everything because we don't know what to expect from them now. Going into this World Cup, what could we have said about France? They have 2 of probably the best 5 players in the world. No other team could say that in the world. Now they're down to 1. It's Kylian Mbappe against the world, so it's going to make it more interesting.
Yep, quite so indeed. And just before we get to Khadija, her thoughts about Group D as well, Tiffany Cameron in the comments, I forgot to mention earlier that the background setup is wicked. I'm enjoying this pre-game show, may not exit just yet. So as you can see, guys, absolutely brilliant work done by our team. So thank you guys so much for your comments as well. And also big ups as well to our technical team with Jamal Tucker and Javon Williams. You'll see them at some point as well on the panel throughout the course of this World Cup, so you can stay tuned for that as well. But as you can see, some immaculate work done behind the scenes to ensure that we're all set for today, November 20. Kadish, France, Denmark, the Australian team, and also the Tunisians, your thoughts about Group D and how it could pan out?
Group D, to me, is again one of those pretty straightforward groups. I'm fully expecting France and Denmark to progress. I don't know, I'm not going to say in which order, but I expect them to progress. Australia, over the recent years, have not really impressed me much going forward. Tunisia, I think the last World Cup, they were decent, but I don't think they should trouble France or Denmark much. So I definitely see in France and Denmark going through.
France and Denmark. All right, so you're not worried about the defending champions curse of knockout first round?
We spoke about it earlier, and I said that one of the problems with the other teams was that there was no transition from those players to newer players, and the injuries to France have forced them into it, because I think without those injuries you would have seen probably the same squad bar Benzema going forward, but those injuries have caused them to reshuffle and bring in some new blood, and I think these players have a lot to prove.
Stefan, who will France miss the most? Kante, Pogba, or Benzema?
It's interesting.
Or all three.
That's a hard one. Personally, for me, when the news was announced, it was Kante that was announced first.
Right.
I said advantage France, because I thought they needed to make that change in midfield to get that cohesion moving forward. So I was like, okay, that's good. You're going to free up Pogba a little bit more. You're probably going to bring in a Chouameni who's going to be a bit more central, focused on the defensive aspects, free up Pogba. But then Pogba went down, and I said, that kind of throws a wrench in things. Benzema's injury also throws a big wrench in it. And here's the thing with the Benzema injury. Nkunku is also out. So the fact that he is out means Nkunku's being out as well is even more maximized, because they don't have that replacement for him. Do France have, as I said, before the tournament, you could have said they have 2 of the best 5 players in the world.
Right. You
miss Benzema, but you have Nkunku, who's a top striker. You're back down to my boy Olivier Giroud. I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking him. He's been great for AC Milan, but they're lacking that variation in attack now, that superstar difference maker. So it's going to be a big blow. So right now, I'd probably say Benzema is a bigger miss.
All right, Alexi Da Costa in the comments saying they will miss Kante and Benzema the most in that order. Alex Taylor, they'll miss Benzema. So Alex Taylor saying Ben, so a lot of people, Benzema and Kante, a lot of people sticking towards that in particular. What we're going to show you in just a moment or so is the starting lineups. They're out for this game in particular. Briefly touch on that, and then it's now headed over to the Al Bayt Stadium in Al Khor, Qatar, as we get set for kickoff. The teams will head on the field in just a few moments or so as we get anticipating kickoff. As you can see, my panel is very, very excited, and we have that on your screen right now. Yeah, everyone's ready. So the starting 11, in my view, not a lot of expectations, changes, I should say, to both teams in terms of their recent games. Hassan Al Haidos for Qatar, their captain. That's the one person to look out for in that 3-5-2 sort of system. Roro, the Portuguese born individual, and from the Ecuadorian perspective, that 4-3-3 system that has worked so well for them. You know, Stefan, we've seen Enner Valencia in England, and he still seems to have a little bit of energy left in him.
I think he has a lot of bit of energy left in him, especially at his age. That guy does not stop running. I actually saw him when I was at Toronto FC. He was playing for a Mexican team, and he came over, and he was fit. He did not stop running, and it seems to have carried that on. So it's interesting to see him there because, as we mentioned earlier, Ecuador is one of the youngest teams in this tournament. You can see a couple of their young players starting right there, but Enner Valencia is there to add the experience and the know-how. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you saw that Caicedo was heavily touted at Manchester United. Eventually ended up at Brighton, but your impressions early from seeing him in the English game compared to transitioning?
Yeah, that guy's a baller. That guy is a baller. I remember 5 games into his Brighton career, I was saying Manchester United missed out on something here, and within 6 months, Manchester are now being linked with him for 10 times what they could have got him for previously. It just goes to show that Brighton know what they're doing when they're identifying talent, and he's kicked on. It's probably going to be a big tournament for him. You know, if he impresses, well, who knows what the future holds for him.
Yeah,
should be going to Chelsea in January.
That's true. Graham Potter's now at Chelsea. You know, he brought him over, so maybe we'll see him in the blue of London.
You take him at Chelsea? No heartbeat?
Yes.
She's not a hater for him. She's a lover there.
Yes, definitely. I think he would fit in well with our midfield. He needs to replace certain players in our midfield now. The Chelsea men team, they disappoint me so many times. So I would love to see him in that squad.
And finally, you know, Kadish, as it relates to, you know, from the Qatari perspective, they've opted for this 3 at the back in a lot of games now. Many people say, 3 at the back, then that means that's less numbers forward. You know, your general thoughts, you know, from a coaching perspective, when you have more numbers at the back compared to, like, 2 up top, you know, compared to the 3.
No, but 3 at the back, I think it's more attacking. Why? Because with 3 at the back, your fullbacks actually provide the width going forward. So that's more numbers attacking, but you do have still that defensive solidity in case, you know, it breaks down and there's a quick transition. So I am a fan of the 3 at the back system, not because I'm a Chelsea fan and that's what I've been using for a while, but I think it gives us more attacking push, and it widens the game a bit more, stretches the opponent teams. So I don't think it's all that defensive in attack, right? But when we're defending, then of course the fullback comes back and we make that solid 5. But yeah, I don't think it's that defensive.
All right, interesting. And just to read some of the comments as well, Alexi da Costa says, look out for Caicedo, the man is a baller. Same exact words that Stefan said, basically retweeted it. Love to see him playing. Rashid Hall, the Brighton pair will make a difference today. Big up to Stream, the set looks good. Thank you very much for your comments. We will be wrapping up in just a moment or so, but first we're going to hear from our panel as well. Starting with Stefan, your thoughts about, you know, this game in particular. The host nation, will they continue their streak, or will the South Americans spoil the party?
I just want to see good football. In all honesty, as I said, this group is too close for me. As I said, we're gonna watch 2 teams who are defensively focused. They're all about the quick transitions. They might nullify each other. It might be a high-scoring game. Who knows? I want to see Qatar do well, just as a host nation. You always want to give them that little. You don't want to see the host nation go home in the first round. It kind of kills the environment a little bit. But at the same time, I do like this Ecuador team. As I said, they have a lot of young talent that I've taken a keen interest in. So let's just see how it goes from here.
All right. Kadish, same thing for you, same question for you.
I just want to see some good football I'm excited for this World Cup to kick off. And then, you know, seeing this game we'll have a clearer understanding of what Group A is going to be like. So, good football. If we can get a good football game from this matchup, I'll be pleased with it.
All right, sounds good. I'll give the prediction then. I'm gonna go with Qatar 2, Ecuador 1. We'll see. We'll see how things go, but I think that's.
All right, let me jump off the fence then. I'm going to go against you. Ecuador 2-1.
All right. Ecuador 2-1.
Winner by
Qatar
much.
2-1. That's a good one. Let's go with that. Kadisha's gonna say she wants exciting football, so we'll stick with that.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
All right. Well, team, thank you so much for tuning in. Just a reminder for everyone that is tuning in, thank you so much for watching. And hit that like button as well. We really, really appreciate it. And as well, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to 876 Stream JA right here on YouTube. And if you're on Twitter as well, it is Stream876. Use the hashtag FullTimeStream. And of course, on Instagram, it is 876Stream. 29 days of exciting football ahead. Stay tuned. We have it all. As you said, we'll have our pre-game shows. We'll also have review shows. And starting at the round of 16 phase of the competition going forward, we'll have a watch-along. So you'll get to see the reactions of these analysts and others when a goal is scored, when a red card is given. So you can be able to see their reactions as well. And I'm sure you guys will engage in the content as well. So thank you so much for joining us. The moment is here. The teams are going to walk onto the field in just a moment from now. So join us again at 1 o'clock where we'll have our post-game show. We'll break down the match that has happened and also slightly look ahead to what is to come. The other groups that we haven't discussed, groups E to H, and also the big matches for tomorrow. England against Iran, also the United States against Wales, and the Netherlands against Senegal. Thank you guys so much for watching. Come back and join us again at 1 o'clock for the post-game show. Until then, bye-bye for now.
876 Stream. Bless up.